Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 1 of the For Sure podcast. My name is Caleb, and or Surzy, Mr. Sure, and I'm joined here with my dad.
I am. Who am I today? Oh yeah, we're having fun. So if you're on Instagram, I'm Life with Lonnie, or they just call me Mr. D because we came up with this whole MR sure, MR not, MR not, MR2, and then I was MrDad for sure, and lots of people just call me Mr. D because that worked out best.
Yep, and then my name just got shortened to Surzy, but
Yep.
yeah. So welcome to the For Sure podcast. I am your host, Surzy, and I'm joined with the other host, Mr. D.
Yep.
And just a little introduction. I think we're probably going to be talking about some philosophy, psychology, history, theology, whatever we really feel like. And so this week we're talking about the online disinhibition effect, which is something I've been looking up recently. I have a script, and I'm going to try to go off of it, and we're going to try to bounce off each other. But
Right, yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
To make it more exciting.
I didn't want to just, rant at a microphone for like 30 minutes. So we're going to see how this goes. There's something so unique about behavior and how it relates to video games. For decades now, debates about do video games cause violence have raged on. Video compilations about gamer rage have devoured YouTube and social media, and the notoriously toxic environment of shooter lobbies and some games as a whole has become ingrained in the understanding and culture of video games entirely. Minecraft is no exception to this, of course, but my experience with Minecraft in particular has given me a sort of an insider perspective on why and how people can develop undesirable attitudes and habits and how that may bleed into society.
And I'm here because, yeah, we've played Minecraft since, yeah,
Yeah,
small child.
yeah. For some context, I've been playing Minecraft since I was 10, so like 11 years now, and I've moderated different servers since I was 12, so like 9 years, and I still moderate today on a server called From the Fog. I deal with and have dealt with a lot of different people from a variety of ages, from like 10 years old to 50. I ban people for all kinds of reasons.
Oh yeah, ban
Grief, theft, general racism, hacks, cheats, etc. And after a while, you begin to wonder what possesses people to do these things. Certainly,
yes.
certainly edgy teens that come on to call me slurs and hate on minorities wouldn't act out like this in real life, right?
You wouldn't think so, but hey.
You wouldn't think so. And I think for the most part that's true. I don't think they do that in public, I think this kind of behavior is exclusive to online environments, and it's why you see more usage of slurs and like the N-word on places like Twitter and Instagram than just walking outside, And Mr. D here, my dad, he hosted servers on Minecraft for a while, so I figured, I've been moderating a long time, but he's been in the same sort of environments as me, and so he knows a little bit about what's going on as well.
Yeah. I mean, we started off on the Dads Are Funny, the DRF server. I mean, it is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
And then as that was kind of folding, everybody was like, well, this is so sad. We need someplace to go.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, we'll do our own server. So literally, like, I'm like the owner. And so out of that experience, we've seen a ton of different things happen with different players.
Yeah. And I think that something about having a distinct online presence drives people to act differently on social media and also on Minecraft. And Minecraft's kind of special because Minecraft and video games in general are special because they have physical avatars, and you're not just, an account with pictures or whatnot,
Right. Like my avatar is a goofy, smiley-looking guy, so...
Yeah. And mine's changed over time, but mine was like the same thing, just my own version of it. But this is actually a studied phenomenon called the online disinhibition effect. Disinhibition just simply meaning a fundamental inability to prevent yourself from making socially inappropriate comments or actions. The theory says that the behavior is made up of several contributing factors. Anonymity, asynchronous communication.
What in the asynchronous what?
Yeah, these are a lot of big words. Anonymity, asynchronous communication.
Like nobody knows who you are is an anonymity. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go into each one of these.
Okay.
But
go. You got this.
dissociative, imagination, empathy deficit, and lack of meaningful consequence. So when you're online, you're typically known as your username, unless you divulge more about yourself to others, either directly or indirectly. Because a lot of things that we say, you know, just even saying what time it is for you, you're giving away what region you're in. So
Yeah, like, oh, hey, it's this time right now.
yeah, a lot of people indirectly give away a lot of information about themselves, which is an entirely different topic. But things like calling people slurs, making disparaging remarks about others, burning people's houses down, otherwise inconveniencing and causing grief to other players, typically doesn't reflect on you as a person because you're using some anonymous account. You know, you have a username that isn't your name unless you put your name in it.
Right. So, like, as an intern would say, who's gonna know?
Yeah.
Who's gonna know?
The vessel you control and the username you bestow to it carry the weight of the guilt and the burden of your actions.
There's a thought.
There is a thought. And it's similar to the Plato's allegory of the rings, where one man finds a ring that turns him invisible, and he's corrupted by the temptation of doing whatever he wants without the deeds being attributed to him. And Minecraft is essentially a world full of people with these rings, abdicating responsibility from the user to the character. A sort of allegory of universal rings.
Yeah, like, my precious.
Yes.
Precious.
Lord of the Rings is...
Lord of the Rings fits right in there perfectly.
Well, it's based off that allegory, so it would make sense.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it? Like, oh, look, boop, gone. You can't see me. John Cena, hand wave.
Yeah.
Yes, gotcha.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's written about. But on its own, anonymity in a world full of other anonymous people isn't what creates a cyclical culture of this undesirable behavior. Building off of anonymity, we have asynchronous communication. The idea that anytime you, as the perpetrator of grief, can simply walk away from your actions.
Ooh, so no consequences, no fear of God and that whole thing. You could just do what I want to do and hey.
Well, there's nothing inherently wrong with asynchronous communication, but the way that we're going to see it being utilized by people is what makes it wrong. So asynchronous communication means that you just don't have to respond immediately. So it's like when somebody makes a comment on your Facebook post or whatever,
right.
you can kind of stew on it for a little bit before you respond, or just choose not to respond at all.
Right.
Or you can, if you want to stir the pot, you go on a comment section and you say something provocative, and then you just log out. Which is what that's what I'm talking about here. Is like
you walk in, have a little match, light it, throw it to thing, and then walk away. Like, boom.
Yeah.
Do the explosions and everything from movies.
Yeah, and so the vessel bearing all the responsibility for your actions can be discarded in an instant, and you go about your day with no shame and no obligation to answer for what you did. For this reason, online raids are really easy, since accounts are easily expendable, and we'll discuss later, even when you're punished for your actions, you can go do it again elsewhere.
Because we've seen that.
Yeah, it happened to us all the time. People would they'd get banned, and then they'd come back with a different username, and then even if
an alt.
Yeah. And even people with a bunch of alts, it's like after you ban all their alts, they just come back with a VPN and virtual private network and just re-enter with a new IP address.
Sure.
And with different usernames. But oftentimes the amount of damage done, either to the digital world in a literal sense or like to the player's emotional and mental states, depends entirely on the availability of authority and their response time.
Right. So on our server, we had somebody come on and go, they provoked me, so I killed their pet.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's like if a moderator catches a fire somebody started in a place early, they can stop it from spiraling out of control.
True.
Or if there's drama going on, you can kind of settle it early. But unfortunately, some people wait until nobody's online so that they can do the most amount of damage, right? And
in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that basically some people just plan attacks. And those kinds of people are like super villain level people. Like,
yeah,
you gotta have nothing really going on to want to harm somebody server and their property that bad, you know?
Yeah, like you know what Mama used to say, nothing good happens after midnight, and then it was 11 o'clock, and then it was 10. But I digress.
Yeah. But it's the idea that because of asynchronous communication and a world that's like constantly online, you can just kind of log in and log out whenever, and people can just kind of break the rules whenever, and
Hmm.
it's just it's a matter of, are people available to respond?
Right.
Um,
Like, because if you're not on in the middle of the night and you're just, if it's not a whitelisted server,
yeah,
that's normally what happens is if you don't have a whitelisted server, if you don't have some way to kind of weed out the bad weeds, so to speak,
yeah,
then yeah, you're almost like, yeah.
yeah. And in this particular demonstration, I'm talking more about like servers that are up all the time, like ours was, and it
Hmm.
wasn't always whitelisted on our server, you know, and
No, and something that just kind of came to my mind. So when we were first starting off, I'm kind of like a really nice guy. I think I try to be a nice guy,
yeah, no,
and
definitely,
so I remember back in the day, it was like, okay, so we have some of these people that we've kind of sort of known from the DRF server, fan server, and
hmm
like, okay, we'll bring you on, and somehow I think we gave somebody OP. Well, they were like, oh, I'm good friends with YouTuber, so YouTuber and
oh yeah,
YouTuber friend comes on and destroys the server, and it's like, ah, really? Because that
yeah,
was the middle of the night.
yeah,
That's what came to me.
yeah. So that's part of the online disinhibition effect is people can do more and cause more damage, and they recognize it because of this. You don't have to respond to things right away. It's not face to face. Like if I say something to you in real life, I mean, you could choose to ignore it, but it's going to be really
Hmm.
awkward, and I'm like face to face with you, so I can be like, why are you ignoring me, you
Right, right.
know? But it's like online, there's no certainty with that. Like people can kind of just do whatever they want. um so, one of the most common arguments I hear from those who perpetrate these kinds of attacks source something from the dissociative imagination.
Hmm.
It's just a game, and therefore all understood notions of ethics and common decency don't apply.
Yeah, and I completely like rail against that because I was like, dude, if this is how you are, while you're just playing a game, when it doesn't really count, then what are you when it does count? Because,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, feel very strongly about moral and ethics here over
yeah,
here.
no, I wholeheartedly agree. I think that what you do reflects who you are, and I think that it's more of a habit thing. You have a habit of doing what's right, or you have a habit of doing what's wrong. And so I try to make an effort of making a habit of doing what's right, and Mr. D does also, and that's why I volunteer for these positions where I'm helping uphold the rules and whatnot. But a lot of these
Hmm.
people believe it's a world of pretend, and I get it. It's an online world, and they're playing a role in it, which ties into another psychological phenomenon called the Proteus effect, which claims that your username, the way you dress your avatar, all that matters, and that people act into the biases and preconceptions surrounding the way they present themselves.
Yeah, like, we were part of this one server, or invited to be part of this one server, and it's like, oh, so somebody changed their skin to a naked person, and it's like, I feel extremely uncomfortable right now.
Yeah, and those kinds of people, obviously, if they're using inappropriate skins, they're gonna act into that. They're gonna play into that, where they're going to do other inappropriate actions and behaviors. It's a cyclical sort of thing where people choose the username and player skins, and then they act more like those things, and then they reaffirm the initial choice they made, causing them to continue making choices that reflect that behavior and that character.
Hmm.
They identify with and as their character a lot of the time, and therefore, and this isn't just for trolls. This is for everybody. The Proteus effect says that people identify with and as their character, and therefore connect with and value their character. And
Hmm.
generally, players also have a connection with and value the creations in their world or their server. So even though a Minecraft house might not be real,
Right.
and the things that you have might not be real, the time and effort that you put into it is real. And so is the sentimental value that the people might have and attribute to those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad. It's difficult when you're like, oh, I just spent like 20 hours on this server building this thing, and they think, oh, well, we'll just prank you by filling your whole house with water and
Sure. Well, they can do a lot worse than just water, but
well, lava,
yeah,
like lava. I've had that happen too. That's such a it
yeah,
just burns me up.
yeah, lava. They blow up your house. They set it on fire. They summon withers in your house. That's not fun.
Oh
Because
yeah,
yeah,
traps, all kinds of fun stuff,
yeah.
which is not fun for you.
And so, because the time and value and effort put into the house is real, and the sentimental value of it is real, the grief and stress that's caused by the destruction of it is also real, and it's a valid response to what's going on, even though it's not really your house. You know, it's not the shelter that you live in real life. So while you might be safe in real life, you're still undergoing some real stress with the
Right, you're
destruction of
feeling
it.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, like if I just suddenly remember playing with some kid that we don't even know, and then next thing you know, like we were, I don't know, and then near the nether, in the nether or whatever. Oh no, we weren't even that. We were like looking for diamonds, and next thing you know, the guy was like, ha ha, you know,
Yeah.
and knocks you into the lava, so you lose it all.
Yeah. Yeah. That stuff hurts, especially when you're a kid,
Oh yes,
and it matters a whole lot more to you. Um,
it does as a kid. Meltdowns are awful on
yeah.
this side of the mic.
Yeah. Um,
Just
so
telling the truth.
yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. Especially when I was younger and I didn't have a lot of other stuff going on. Minecraft was kind of my way, like Minecraft was kind of my therapy, getting away from. I went through a lot of bullying in school,
Yes.
and so Minecraft was a way for me to just kind of cope with that and have some time to myself. And then I'd go and have my time to myself, and then people would just harass me in that also. So
Just like, come on, man. I thought this, should be decent and not dangerous.
yeah, I'm trying to have fun. I'm not trying to not trying to have my stuff destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And so this plays into the connecting idea of empathy deficit, because while players feel a personal and emotional connection with their own creations and their own avatars in their own world, other players inherently lack that connection unless, of course, you establish the relationship with the person, like you know who it is,
Mm-hmm.
and you have shared experiences with them.
Right. Indeed.
So to trolls online, they don't respect or understand the effort that you put into your creation, and they lack the empathy that they might have in real life, and use dissociative imagination to justify their behavior. Right? They don't
Because I'm
understand.
not really hurting anybody.
Yeah. Well, that's what they think is like,
Yeah.
well, who's it really bothering? And it's like, well, just because you don't feel it doesn't mean it's not real.
Yeah.
And so while they might project themselves onto their own characters and creations, they do not do the same for others. Which is why I've seen examples of people stealing things from others and then slapping no stealing signs on their own houses because they hope people understand and empathize with their desire for safety and security.
Yeah, don't take my stuff, but I'll take yours.
Yes, without acknowledging the same thing for other people.
The duplicity in that is just crazy.
And it's funny because I see that happen so many times when I moderate, like still today. It happened like last month. I have it happen a bunch of times month to month on where I moderate. But
What a shame.
it is a shame, but it's just how people are sometimes.
Sometimes.
And they don't really care to play into other people's self-perceptions of their avatars, and they tend to typically act independently. So people are kind of just trying to do their own thing. They don't normally consider what's going on with what other people are trying to do, right?
Right.
Because they just don't empathize with it. They don't understand it.
Oh, hey. Yeah.
And so the last factor that plays into it, this is the last page I have a little bit more. I thought this was the last of my notes, but I have a little bit more.
Wow, and we're almost at the 20-minute mark. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah. I thought honestly this is gonna last a little bit longer, and it might. We might still have some stuff to talk about.
Here's
But
my 5-minute sermon for you. TED Talk, whatever,
So the last factor that really plays into it is the lack of meaningful consequence.
Oh yeah.
Moderators and authority figures on Minecraft specifically lack tools to enact sufficient punishment. Sure, we can mute, kick, and ban people and IP ban people, but there's no real feeling of shame for the people that are punished. Like they don't really feel guilty. They don't feel ashamed of their actions. They just go somewhere else and do the same thing over again.
Mm-hmm. But let me ask this question. Do you think it's just a societal thing at this moment in our existence that just in general people are kind of less? There's no consequences in real life for some stuff. I mean, like you're in school. So let me just put it this way. So you're in school, and the school system is tasked with just literally getting you to the finish line, which is graduation.
Mm-hmm.
So you're pulling straight Fs, but somehow they'll slide you in with a D and get you to the next step.
Sure.
So did you really learn anything during that time? I'm not saying that anybody's stupid. I'm just saying that the system is not necessarily built for let's do better.
Mm-hmm.
It's built for let's get you to the next step. Okay, great. We have a success rate of graduation, that kind of thing.
Well, that's talking about society as a whole. And
it's a big hole, isn't it?
It is a big.
Did I just dig that hole?
No, you're fine. But I think that part of that is an attitude of entitlement with people, and and you can see that online too. People think they deserve the right to be as awful as they want. Like when you see people join servers and they're like, I should be able to do whatever I want. I should be able to call people slurs. I should be able to destroy whatever I want. And it's protected under the First Amendment. And it's like, obviously, those people don't understand how the freedom of speech actually works. Right. But people also believe that they just deserve to get to the finish line.
Yeah. Just give me the stuff and then I'll be done.
People just want things,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I'm just one guy, right? I'm just one guy.
One guy playing pseudo psychologist.
Yeah, I'm just playing the pseudo social psychologist here. Talking about something that's
psychology. Yeah, it's all.
I'm just talking about Minecraft here. I'm just talking about something that's already been studied, but through the lens of Minecraft. But of course, a lot of these things have implications about the larger world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why at the end of this, it talks about how I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, but
go for it.
With a distinct lack of negative reinforcement, it may encourage impressionable teens to make undesirable behaviors into habits that bleed into the real world. If they believe their words and actions have no meaning, they will not only detract from simulated game societies, but also real society. And of course, I don't think that everybody is as bad as the super villain. I call them the super villains, but the people that go out of their way to try to make other people miserable, right?
Right.
I don't think everybody is the guy trying to destroy the entire server.
No.
It's kind of a spectrum of online disinhibition. Yeah, disinhibition. It is a hard word to say. A lot of I's.
I'm letting you say that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But those extreme examples that do exist normally attract the most attention. And it's like there are some people that genuinely do feel shame and guilt when they get banned, but there's a lot of people that just don't care.
Right, and I would say we've seen that in the course of time. I mean, we've had on our server somebody that was just like, it wasn't my fault, I never did anything, and there's like all this evidence being, so I love it when we do those trials with T-Man. That was It was like a kangaroo court, but it was. I mean, no, literally, people were hopping everywhere. When they...
Yeah, no, they were.
But at the end of it, it's like, okay, dude, all the evidence points to the fact that you did this, and he was just like, no, well, Surzy is this, blah blah blah, and it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I got called bias.
A lot of bias.
I got called
Just
bias boy.
Because your dad runs the server. Okay, whatever, man.
No, and I get that to an extent. I get how people might be frustrated with that, but it's like I'm not that anymore. I don't.
Right. Like, how many times did I demote you anyhow? Just
yeah,
for fun. I mean, not for fun, but just
a
like
handful.
A handful.
A handful.
Enough to go, hey, I'm still the father here, right?
Yeah. But yeah, and so part of the online disinhibition effect is that your server culture may become more toxic if you allow toxic players and toxic behavior, as people reflect and imitate the behavior they see widespread.
Yeah, and I've seen that. I've gone on to other servers, and it's just like, wow, the language and how people treat each other on here is just, woo. This is not my cup of tea. I'm out of there.
Yeah, it's both the broken window theory and the lowest common denominator. People see what the lowest acceptable level of behavior is, and they just kind of reflect that. So if you have a place that's like things are well preserved and respected,
right.
Like people are going to treat that with respect, and they're going to treat that, and they're going to preserve that also, and they're going to believe that it's safe, and they're going to want to, make that area more safe also. But if you have an area that's destroyed, people are going to come through and ravage that more. They're going to go find whatever they can from that and take more. And I think that's applicable online, but also in the real world. And I think that Minecraft kind of displays some of these social psychology theories and philosophical theories at work, and I have more ideas about that, which I might go over in another episode.
Sure.
But it's the idea that when you see a lot of behavior, like theft, if there's a lot of theft on a server and people see that, they're going to think that that's okay. And they're going to keep repeating that behavior.
The lowest denomination.
Lowest common denominator, yeah. And so if people see a lot of hostile language or discriminatory language, they're going to act the same sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I had for the script. Anything else we want to talk about?
Well, I want to say this. As we kind of got to the end there, it's like, it seems like, oh, well, there's like no hope then. I don't want to leave people without hope that, well, it doesn't have to be that way all the time. And some of that's just kind of like the belief system that we have and we hold to.
Yeah.
That there's hope that people don't have to be bad.
No.
And again, back to one of our server things that happened. So one of our friends, Fire, was helping us, and next thing you know, it's like, he got busted for something. And instead of just like banning him, I just kind of reached out and said, I think you can do better, and I because I don't think that you have to be that way. And he responded in such a positive way that it really reinforced the idea of grace. Like sometimes when you show people grace and mercy, they respond to that in a very positive way. Not everybody does.
Yeah.
Because of the world that we live in, but I believe that things begin to turn around when we take steps to go, you know what? No. I mean, some of it is kind of the peer pressure idea that just as much as you can take things negatively, you can move it in a positive, move the needle in a positive way.
Absolutely.
So that, did you have something? I see you're looking at me like I got an idea.
Well, it's this dynamic of you have to uphold what's right and what's good, but you can do it in a way that's respectful and sort of incorporates people into it. You can kind of lead them in the direction that is right. Sort of rehabilitate people into things. It's not like people, as soon as they get online, are going to become the supervillain types that I've been talking about.
Right.
Most people are just gonna. Some people just kind of instinctively do things out of whatever greed or whatever, but it's not like they're without hope.
Right.
a lot of
God in the world, that kind of thing. Yeah.
A lot of these people can change, and some of the worst types can change for the better. You know. So that's I guess that's all I really have to say. I think.
Sure.
I hope you guys really enjoyed this. This was the.
Yeah. So what do you think? What's your comments, man?
Yeah, this was the 30-minute deep dive into the online disinhibition effect.
Woo.
And
say that again twice.
Yeah.
Fast, man.
I can't. I've been talking about trying to do this for like a month, and every time I look up this article and try to say it to him, because we talk about this over like lunch and whatnot.
Yeah, Chili's.
Yeah,
this
Chili's.
This part is brought to you by Chili's. Please feel free to throw us any kind of Chili's cards.
Yeah.
We eat your fajitas.
Yeah, we're usuals at the Chili's we go to. We eat the fajitas there, but
they know me there.
Yeah, they know us like by name.
Oh, and it's your seat.
Yeah,
well, we kicked them out of your seat, but you know.
Yeah, but
finishing.
So
sorry.
So it's really hard to pronounce that. Basically, was what I was gonna say. Some final thoughts. If you really enjoyed this and you want to support me further, you can go to Amazon and look up you can look up Caleb Tomes on Amazon and see my book series there. I have 5 books right now. They're also called the Esoterica Mysteries series, and it's a series of poetry. And I think I did pretty good.
You did really good. It moved me. It was, you know, when people do stuff like that, because I do songwriting. Those are like expressions of who you are, and when people hear the song or read the poetry, you're like, well, golly, do they like it? Did it touch something deep within them? And I got to tell you, when I read the stuff that Surzy wrote, especially as a dad, knowing what he's gone through, I'm like, this is really good stuff. It really is. And I am biased, but you should go to Amazon and buy his 99-cent.
Yeah, they're ebooks. They're ebooks. I'm gonna work on getting a physical copy published. But big thanks to Ozark Hollow Press for publishing me and a bunch of other people. And you should go check out their other books they have published there also. But obviously buy mine first.
Yes, there you go.
But thank you very much for listening. This has been the For Sure Podcast, episode number 1. Surzy and MrDad for sure signing out. Thank you very much.
Yep.